Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We are back. You're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. Let's get it. You're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. Yes, indeed. What's going on? What's going on? We are back with Thoughts of the Week podcast, and this is the Real Reparations Movement Part 8. All right. And so I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it with some more of that good reparations information. So let's get into it, man. Let's hit the video.
Coming to the stage, we have our brother, the visionary for the Foundation of Black American Conference and Rally for Reparations, our brother, Tariq Nasheed.
I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up and check. I got the message on me, get no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power,
the home of Frederick Douglass. DC, the home of Dick Gregory. The home of Marion Barry. The home of Dave Chappelle. The home of Mambo sauce. What y'all putting in that Mambo sauce? DC, we're here, the Rally for Reparations. Look at this beautiful crowd. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, it's a couple of days before midterms. We're letting the political structure know we want tangibles as foundational Black Americans. And we're not going to let them redefine what reparations mean, right? Is reparations student loan debt? No. Is reparations HBCU funding? No. Is reparations minority business loans? No. Is reparations catfish nuggets? No. What's reparations? Money! What's reparations? Money. What's reparations? Money. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, when we talk about reparations, we get the same 7 rebuttals from the dominant society, and we need to know how to address their rebuttals when we talk about what we need to get as far as reparations. The first thing that they say is, well, wouldn't reparations be divisive? Wouldn't that make people in the dominant society not like you? Are you here to be liked by the dominant society? Tina Turner told us, what's love got to do with it? We're trying to get our money. We're already divided, but they control our resources. So we want them to divide our money and give it back to us because we're owed a debt as foundational Black Americans. The second thing that they try to tell us is, well, other people suffered, it just wasn't Black people. Irish people were enslaved. Italian people were lynched. Native Americans were mistreated, and they're not complaining, so why are you Blacks complaining? Well, the thing is, these people are not complaining because they were compensated. The Irish, who were indentured servants, they got something called freedom dues after their contract ran out. They got money, land, and weapons. They were compensated, then they were brought into white society to join all the benefits and reap all the gains of being white. When the Italians were lynched down in New Orleans, there was a situation where there was a mass lynching of Italians. Their families were compensated, and the country of Italy was compensated, and the Italians were allowed into white society to reap the benefits. The Native Americans, we know the red ones, they were compensated. They broke off all types of money, and many of them enslaved us as well, so they need to be cutting a check too. The third rebuttal that they have for us is, well, if you want to get reparations, FBAs, why don't you go to the Africans who sold you? Have y'all heard that one? Well, I say to that, number one, the African who sold us, well, he got a one-off. Number two, those countries don't exist no more. Those countries over there were colonized, and they were absorbed into the white European power structure, so all of their resources were drained. So they need to get the resources from the white power structure in Europe that dominated them, while we're getting money from the white power structure that dominated us, the United States government. Another rebuttal, they say, well, all white people didn't even own slaves during slavery. So how are white people responsible? We didn't all own slaves. But it was a slave economy where everybody benefited from the slave economy. So if you were a white person in the 1800s working for the train station economy was built on the resources that were taken back and forth from the south to the north. So you owe. If you worked for an insurance company in the 1800s, yeah, you didn't own a slave, but you were insuring slaves and you were making money off slavery. If you were a white person in the 1800s working for a bank or a factory, you were getting all the raw materials and refining it in those northern factories, benefiting from slavery. So the whole economy was based on the labor of our foundational Black American ancestors. The next rebuttal is, well, my family came over after the Civil War. So I wasn't even here during slavery. So how do I owe? When your family was over there in the slums of Europe, they heard about a country that was built up off the wealth from the free labor of our ancestors. And they knew that that wealth was mass distributed from our hands into white society and locked in racially, and they sat over there in Europe and said, sign me up, I want to go over there and be a part of that. So since you want to be a part of it, you're part of the debt and you owe too. The sixth one they say is, well, there's already been reparations paid to black people. Welfare and affirmative action. Number one, welfare was created for white women in the 1930s. Number two, most welfare recipients in America are white people in middle America. The welfare capital is Owsley County, Kentucky, where 99% of the people are white and on welfare. That's the welfare capital. And as far as affirmative action, we know that affirmative action benefits white women more than anybody. So is affirmative action reparations? No! Exactly. And the last thing they say, family, they say, well, listen, why should I, as a good white person, be on the hook for something that I didn't do? Why should my tax dollars pay for something that I didn't do? I didn't own a slave. Did any of you remove red Native Americans from their land? Your tax dollars go to pay for them now. Did any of you put people in concentration camps in Germany? Your tax dollars go to pay off some of the victims of the Holocaust. Did any of you put Japanese Americans in internment camps in World War II? But your tax dollars go to pay the Japanese families. Did anybody here fly a plane in the World Trade Center? You know some of your tax dollars go to those victims too. Did you create a war in Afghanistan? No. Billions of your tax dollars go to the Afghanistanian people. Did you cause a war in the Ukraine? No. Billions of your tax dollars go to the Ukrainian citizens.
You have to move. You in front of the
So since we're giving all of our tax dollars to these people who are not even citizens for the most part, we're going to make sure the real compensation and the real check is going to be cut for the people who deserved it, who built this country from the ground up, who cultivated the culture in this country. Foundation of Black Americans, ladies and gentlemen. Say reparations. FBA. All right, give yourselves a round of applause.
All right, man. Yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. That was Tariq Nasheed. And he hit a lot of points, a lot of things to think about. All right. And just real quick, we want to touch on a few things. Of course, he mentioned the Ukraine and the Afghans getting money and how our tax dollars are paying for that, or some of it, right? And then, of course, the tax dollars paying for other groups and how it paid for reparations for other people, the Japanese, and so on and so forth, right? Some of y'all might not be aware, some of you might be aware that there's a lot of different institutions that benefited from slavery. There's banks that benefited and schools that benefited. I'm gonna put a link in the description for you to check out Black History Minute, the YouTube channel, and you can see the different Black history facts in regards to those groups and banks and stuff like that that benefited from slavery. All right. I believe Columbia University was one. I think AIG was another. And there's going to be plenty others, right? That I think even Wells Fargo, under another name years ago, benefited from slavery. All right. So all these institutions need to pay as well, need to pay those reparations. So there's a lot of entities and institutions that definitely need to pay reparations. There's a lot of people that owe. All right. Also, before we talk about the affirmative action, which, by the way, I will talk about it real quick. Affirmative action benefits white women. A lot of people don't realize that, but if you do your research, you'll find out it doesn't benefit Black Americans. All right. They're the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action, or were of affirmative action. All right. And real quick, he spoke about how people would say, well, you need to go with the Africans because they enslaved you. Also in Black History Minute, again, I'll put the link in the description. There is, I did a video in regards to the Dahomey tribe in Africa. I think that tribe doesn't even exist no more. They're extinct, but they were once involved. I did two videos. One kind of bigging up, if you will, how they were women warriors, just to show that, hey, there's women out there that can do their thing, right? But then at the same time, I got to give the other side of that, those facts as well. Those same Dahomey people were involved in taking slaves, giving it to the Europeans, the white people, so they was involved in the slave trade. All right. Let's make it plain as that. They were involved in the slave trade. So if there were any left or anyone involved in it now in Africa, they would have something to do with it. But there were others involved. I think there's Ghana and Senegal. And so, we would have to touch them up as well. All right. They had some involvement in it. So pretty much the worldwide have some involvement in Black Americans being enslaved. All right. Or enslaving the Black Americans that were here before slavery. My understanding, they also took those that were already here before slavery, snatched them up, and put them in and enslaved them as well. So there's a lot going on, man. All right. So another thing to touch on was the welfare system, which was created for white women. Do your research. Don't get caught up in your feelings. Do the research and you'll find out. All right. Because a lot of you going to get caught. People that might know me that's white. Some of you might get in your feelings. I don't know. I hope not. But if you get in your feelings, do the research. Don't get all emotional and you'll find out that's a fact. All right. And then again, in Kentucky, I think has the if it still isn't the number one, they have the largest number of white people who are on welfare. And they always used to make black people, or make the world as a whole, make people think that black people are getting all this welfare and that's all they live off of. But see, these are the things that keeps constantly staying hidden, so it can affect you mentally and get other people in from other ethnic groups thinking that, oh, these black people ain't nothing, and look, they always on welfare. When we came up with inventions, so on and so forth, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I mentioned about the inventions, though, right? To this day, there are still inventions that were created from way back when to even some recent times that Black Americans created that people are still benefiting from to this day. All right. And then he made mention about some people would say, well, I don't have no slaves. I didn't live in those times. But again, everybody is benefiting from what slavery brought through the Black enslaved people, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. So everybody benefits from that. All right. To this day. And again, I mentioned the inventions. Those inventors back then didn't get paid for it. The invention ideas were stolen. And somebody needs to pay up that money for those stolen inventions that everybody benefits. There's lights on right now. You can see me pretty clearly because of light. A Black American did that. All right. A lot of y'all gonna think, who was that guy? I think they say Alexander, or I forgot who it was, that is a white guy that a lot of you might think has something to do with creating the light. But really, if it wasn't for the filament that you put in the light bulbs, which was the filament, if my understanding and my memory is right, it's the filament that really brings the light about. And that filament was created by somebody Black. All right. So if it wasn't for the filament and nobody else could figure it out, there wouldn't be much of any light today. So, yeah, he brought out a lot of different points. All right. Let me see here. Yeah. And, again, people question when we demand money. So when it came to everybody else getting monies, even recent times, Afghanis, Ukrainians, you have across the border, Biden was secretly flying in Venezuelans, and not a lot of you people know about that. They were secretly flying in people from Venezuela, and it was reported, but it was reported months back, and he just hid the reports, right? So that way, if somebody later on brings that up, they can say, oh no, but it was reported. We put it on, it's been reported. It's been in the news. So that's the little trick they do. They do it secretly, put a report in, and then they won't put it out publicly so everybody can know about it. They'll keep it hidden. So then people will find out about it later, do their research, and start finding this information out and saying, wait a minute, nobody said nothing about this. And, they bring it out now, and it's not really too late, but it's too late at the same time because they already put this information out months before, but they just wouldn't let you know about it. So that's why a lot of people got to research and look up stuff and find things out. All right. So, yeah, man, he brought up a lot of good points. And, yeah, like I said, it was getting hot. It's getting hot. All right. So we're going to keep it going with reparations movement, the real reparations movement, part 9. All right. So you rocking with the best. Appreciate y'all, man. Subscribe to the channel, hit them thumbs up, make the channel be known, and so more people could come check it out. All right. You're rocking with the best. This is Thoughts of the Week podcast. I'm out. Peace. You're rocking with the best. Thoughts of the Week podcast.